The massive research vessel Star Seeker hung silently in Earth's orbit, its purple-tinted observation windows filled with the view of the blue and green planet below. Inside the ship's main research chamber, Chief Researcher Blue stared at the display screens with all four of his eyes wide open in disbelief. "This cannot be correct," he muttered, his gray skin turning a pale shade of white. A sign of extreme stress among his species. "Run the environmental scans again." His assistant, Green, tapped the crystal controls with her long fingers. "Sir, we've run the scans 12 times already. The results are the same." The data floating on the holographic screens told an impossible story. The planet below them experienced temperature swings of over 100 degrees. Its surface was covered in vast oceans that regularly created giant storms. It had active volcanoes, earthquake zones, and regions where the air itself became so thin it couldn't support life. By any reasonable standard, it was a death world. But that wasn't what had shocked the research team into silence. "Show me the population scan again," Blue ordered, his voice barely a whisper. The screen flickered and displayed a number that made no sense. 8 billion intelligent life forms. "Impossible," whispered Yellow, the team's biology expert. "No species could evolve to survive in these conditions, let alone build a civilization." Blue floated closer to the observation window, his anti-gravity belt humming softly. Below, through the clouds, he could see the lights of cities spread across the night side of the planet. During their 3 days of secret observation, they had witnessed things that challenged everything they knew about intelligent life. "Display video recording 17B," Blue commanded. The main screen lit up with footage their probes had captured. It showed a human female climbing up the sheer face of a massive rock formation, thousands of feet above the ground. She was securing herself with only thin ropes and small metal devices wedged into cracks in the rock. "Display recording 23A," Blue continued. Now they watched humans diving into the ocean, swimming with massive predatory creatures that could swallow them whole. The humans showed no fear. Instead, they were clearly enjoying themselves. Final recording 42F. The screen showed humans in a place their scans identified as Alaska, walking through snow in temperatures that would kill most species in minutes. They were carrying heavy packs, setting up shelters, and even cooking food in these deadly conditions. "They're insane," Yellow muttered. "This isn't survival behavior. They're deliberately seeking out these conditions. For fun." Green, who had been quietly analyzing data in the corner, suddenly spoke up. "Sir, you need to see this. I've been monitoring their information networks. These humans, they have special groups they call survival experts. They teach others how to live in the most extreme conditions. They make entertainment shows about it." Blue's skin shifted to a deep blue color, indicating deep thought among his species. "In all our exploration of the galaxy, we've never encountered anything like this. Most intelligent species evolve on garden worlds with stable conditions. We develop technology to avoid facing harsh environments. But these humans, they embrace it," Yellow finished. "They train for it. They enjoy it." The research team fell silent as they watched more footage of humans engaging in what they could only see as suicidal behavior, running through deserts, climbing frozen waterfalls, crossing raging rivers, and diving into underground caves. Blue made a decision. Send a message to the Galactic Council. Mark it as highest priority. He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We have discovered an intelligent species that defies our understanding of survival parameters. They don't just survive in death world conditions, they actively seek them out. Request permission to establish a dedicated observation team." As the message was sent, Blue continued watching the screens. A new video showed humans teaching young ones how to start fires, build shelters, and find safe water, passing on survival knowledge that most species in the galaxy would never need. "Perhaps," Blue mused, his skin shifting to a curious shade of purple, "we've been looking at this the wrong way. Maybe they're not Deathworlders at all. Maybe there's something we've never encountered before." true survival experts. The Star Seeker continued its silent orbit, its crew watching with a mixture of horror and fascination as the humans below went about their daily lives, casually defying death in ways that would make most galactic species faint from fear. The discovery of Earth was about to change everything the galaxy thought it knew about the nature of intelligent life. 3 weeks after the initial discovery of Earth, a new ship entered orbit. The Galactic Council had responded quickly to Chief Researcher Blue's report, sending their best observation team. This time, they came prepared with better stealth technology and special equipment designed to monitor humans up close. "Landing zone confirmed," announced Captain Red, guiding their smaller research vessel down through Earth's atmosphere. "We're cloaked and undetectable to their technology." Their ship touched down in a remote forest in what humans called British Columbia. The location was perfect, deep in the wilderness where they planned to observe a human documentary team filming a survival show. The alien observation team consisted of 5 members, all from different garden worlds where the weather was always perfect and dangerous animals didn't exist. Each one had needed special training just to walk on Earth's higher gravity surface. "Remember," Red warned as they activated their personal cloaking devices, "no interaction with the humans. We're here to observe only." Through their advanced cameras, they watched as 3 humans set up their base camp nearby. The humans carried what the aliens considered to be ridiculously basic equipment: some rope, metal tools, fabric shelters, and devices for starting fire. "Are they really going to survive out here with just that?" asked Purple, the team's survival expert who usually worked in climate-controlled habitats. "Our scanners show large predatory animals in this region, and the temperature drops significantly at night." As if answering his question, they watched the humans get to work. Within hours, the documentary team had built a sturdy shelter using only materials from the forest. They set up clever traps to warn of approaching animals, created a safe fire pit, and even found fresh water sources. The aliens observed in amazement as one of the humans, Tom, demonstrated what he called basic wilderness skills for the camera. He showed how to find edible plants, track animals, and read weather patterns just by looking at the sky and plants. "Look at this," whispered White, the team's technology specialist, pointing to her scanner. "Their bodies are constantly adjusting to the changing conditions. Their cooling system, what they call sweating, is remarkably efficient, and their ability to regulate internal temperature through behavioral changes is fascinating." The next morning brought what the aliens thought would be disaster. Heavy rain started falling, and the wind picked up speed. The observation team huddled in their ship, expecting the humans to call for emergency evacuation. Instead, they watched in disbelief as the humans seemed to enjoy the challenge. "Perfect weather to test our survival shelters," Tom announced to the camera, grinning as he stood in the rain. The documentary team quickly adapted their camp, digging small trenches to direct water away from their shelters and setting up tarps to collect clean rainwater. "They're not just surviving," Red noted, "they're teaching others how to do this. Look at how they explain every step to their viewers." The aliens continued watching as the humans demonstrated various survival techniques. They showed how to make waterproof containers from large leaves, how to start a fire with wet wood, and how to find dry tinder inside dead trees. "In our worlds," Purple said, shaking his head in wonder, "we spend enormous resources creating perfect environments. These humans, they just adapt to whatever nature throws at them." As night fell, the observation team was treated to another surprise. Instead of seeking shelter, the humans sat around their fire, sharing stories and looking at the stars. They seemed completely at ease in an environment that would terrify most galactic species. "Send this recording to the Council," Red ordered. "They need to see this. These humans aren't just surviving in harsh conditions, they're teaching others to do it too. And they're doing it all with technology that we would consider primitive." As the transmission was sent, the aliens watched the humans prepare for sleep, their camp secure against weather and wildlife, their skills having turned a hostile environment into a comfortable home. "Maybe," White suggested, her voice thoughtful. What we consider advanced technology and what humans consider advanced skills are two very different things. We've mastered controlling our environment, but they've mastered adapting to it. The observation team settled in for another night of study, their understanding of human capabilities growing with each passing hour. The documentary team below had no idea they were teaching not just their viewers, but a galactic audience as well. The weather changed faster than anyone expected. The alien observation team's advanced instruments detected the approaching storm system first, but even their technology couldn't predict its full strength. "This is beyond dangerous," Captain Red announced, checking the readings for the 5th time. "Wind speeds will reach what humans call hurricane force. The temperature will drop severely, and there's a high risk of flooding." The aliens watched their screens nervously as dark clouds rolled in over the mountains. Their ship's sensors showed that the documentary team, Tom, Mike, and Jack, had also noticed the changing weather. "Looks like we're in for a big one," Tom said to the camera, looking at the sky with experienced eyes. Instead of panic, his face showed focus and determination. "Time to show our viewers how to handle extreme weather in the wilderness." The aliens were stunned. Not only were the humans not evacuating, but they were going to use this deadly situation as a teaching opportunity. "They're insane," Purple whispered, his skin turning pale. "They should be calling for help." But the documentary team was already moving with practiced efficiency. Mike started securing their equipment while Jack gathered extra firewood and covered it with waterproof tarps. Tom began reinforcing their shelters and digging deeper drainage channels. "Look at their heart rates," White reported, watching her biological scanners. "They're elevated but stable. They're not panicking at all. This is routine for them." The storm hit with tremendous force. Trees bent in the fierce wind. Rain poured down in sheets, and the temperature plunged. The alien observers huddled in their ship, watching their monitors in fascination and horror. The humans, however, were prepared. They had built their shelter in a natural depression, protected by large rocks. Their reinforced lean-to deflected the wind, while their carefully constructed fire pit, protected by clever wooden barriers, kept their fire going despite the rain. "They're not just surviving," Red observed. "They're teaching survival skills in the middle of this chaos." Indeed, Tom was still talking to the camera, explaining how they had chosen their location carefully, away from possible falling trees and flash flood zones. He demonstrated how they used layers of natural materials to keep their fire going, and how they had stored emergency supplies in waterproof containers. The storm grew worse. A nearby tree crashed down, but it fell away from their camp, exactly as they had planned when choosing their site. The stream beside their camp began to rise, but their elevated position and drainage channels kept them safe and dry. "Notice how they're working together," White pointed out. "Each human knows their role. They've trained for this." The documentary team took shifts throughout the night, one person always staying awake to monitor the storm and maintain their fire. They even helped a group of young deer find shelter near their camp, understanding that local wildlife often had good instincts about safe spaces. "In our worlds," Purple said, shaking his head in amazement, "we would have massive shield generators and weather control systems to prevent this kind of storm. These humans, they just adapt and endure." As dawn approached, the storm began to weaken. The aliens expected to see exhausted, traumatized humans. Instead, they found the documentary team already up and working, checking their surroundings and equipment for damage. "Well, folks," Tom said to the camera, looking tired but satisfied, "that was a perfect example of why proper preparation and knowledge of your environment matters. Let's check our surroundings and show you how to assess storm damage safely." The aliens watched as the humans turned even this part into a learning experience, demonstrating how to check for dangerous loose branches, test the ground for stability, and look for new water sources created by the storm. "Send a priority message to the Council," Red ordered. "Tell them we've witnessed humans not just surviving a Class 4 storm system, but using it as a teaching opportunity. With nothing but basic tools and knowledge, they turned a deadly situation into a survival lesson. As the sun rose fully, the documentary team was already collecting fresh rainwater, repairing their camp, and planning their next lesson. The storm that would have sent most galactic species running for advanced shelter had become just another day of filming for these remarkable humans. Perhaps, Red mused, watching Tom explain how to find dry tinder after a storm, we've been measuring advancement wrong all along. True survival expertise isn't about having the best technology. It's about knowing how to live without it. The morning after the storm brought an unexpected emergency. A small spacecraft from the Zenith species crashed in the Rocky Mountains, about 10 miles from the documentary team's location. The alien observation team picked up the distress signal immediately. Captain Red's skin turned almost white with horror. 3 Zenith survivors trapped in these mountains. They'll never survive. Their species can barely handle mild temperature changes. The observation team watched their monitors in despair. The Zenith were from a planet with perfectly controlled weather. They had no concept of survival in harsh conditions. The crash site was in rough terrain, surrounded by steep cliffs and dense forest, with snow already beginning to fall. "Look!" White suddenly pointed at their screens. The documentary team's radio crackled with an emergency signal, a distorted version of the alien distress call that their ship's damaged systems had managed to broadcast. They watched as Tom grabbed his radio and called the nearest ranger station. "Possible aircraft down in the north sector. We're closest to the location. We'll check it out and report back." The 3 humans quickly packed their emergency gear. The aliens observed in amazement as they prepared for the rescue mission with calm efficiency. Each carried basic medical supplies, extra clothes, food, water, and survival gear. "They're going to attempt a rescue?" Purple asked in disbelief. "On foot. In these conditions, with no advanced technology. They don't even know what they're going to find," White added, monitoring the humans' vital signs. "Yet look at their biological readings, focused, alert, but not panicked." The documentary team moved through the difficult terrain with remarkable speed. They used natural landmarks for navigation, found safe paths across dangerous areas, and constantly watched for signs of the crash. Their camera operator followed, still filming what had turned from a survival show into a rescue mission. "Hold up," Tom called, pointing to broken tree branches high above. "Impact trail." The aircraft went down in that valley. The aliens watched as the humans carefully made their way down the steep slope, using ropes and their knowledge of the terrain to move safely. When they reached the crash site, they found the Zenith spacecraft half buried in snow, its strange design clearly not of Earth origin. Most species would have run away in fear of the unknown. The humans didn't even hesitate. "Hello," Tom called out, approaching carefully. "We're here to help. Is anyone hurt?" The Zenith crew, huddled inside their damaged ship and slowly freezing, couldn't believe their eyes when they saw the humans. Their universal translators allowed basic communication. You came to help us," the Zenith captain asked, shivering severely. "But how did you get here?" Questions later, Mike said firmly, already pulling out emergency blankets and heat packs. "Right now, we need to get you warm and into safety." The observation team watched in amazement as the humans quickly treated the Zenith crew for hypothermia and exposure. They used simple but effective techniques, sharing body heat, providing warm drinks, and creating temporary shelter from the wind. "Look at that," Red said softly. "They're not just helping. They're keeping the aliens calm, explaining everything they're doing. Even now, they're teaching." Jack had already called in their location and situation to the ranger station, carefully describing it as a small private aircraft crash. A rescue helicopter was on its way, but the humans knew the Zenith crew wouldn't survive that long without immediate care. "Their bodies are already warming up," White reported, checking her scanners. "These simple human techniques, they're actually working." Within an hour, the helicopter arrived. The documentary team had not only kept the Zenith crew alive, but had treated their minor injuries and even managed to hide the obviously alien nature of the crash from the rescue crews. Send an urgent update to the Council, Red ordered. Humans have just successfully rescued a Zenith crew using nothing but basic survival skills and simple tools. They did what our most advanced rescue ships might have failed to do, and they did it on foot, in severe conditions, without any hesitation. As they watched the humans help load the disguised aliens into the helicopter, Purple shook his head in wonder. "Maybe we've been wrong about what makes a species advanced," he said. "These humans, with their primitive tools and knowledge, they just saved lives that our technology might have failed to save." The documentary team gathered their gear, probably thinking they had just rescued some lost pilots. They had no idea they had just changed how the galaxy would view human capabilities forever. The rescue of the Zenith crew created quite a stir in the Galactic Council. Within days, a new alien research team arrived, led by Professor Gray, the galaxy's leading expert on developing species. They joined Captain Red's observation team, watching the documentary crew with newfound respect. These humans used nothing but ropes, basic medical supplies, and their knowledge to save 3 Zenith. Gray said, reviewing the rescue footage. "Our most advanced ships would have taken hours to reach that location." The aliens continued their observation as the documentary team returned to their original mission. Today, Tom was teaching what he called advanced wilderness navigation. "Look at this," White said, pointing to her screens. "They're using the sun, stars, and natural signs to navigate. No quantum computers, no satellite systems, just pure knowledge." They watched as Tom demonstrated how to find north using a simple stick's shadow, how to read moss growth on trees, and how to use rivers and mountain ranges as guides. The humans made complex navigation look effortless. "But that's impossible," Purple protested, checking his instruments. "His navigation accuracy is within 98% using just these sticks and rocks." The documentary team moved deeper into the wilderness. They showed viewers how to cross dangerous rivers using nothing but fallen logs and rope, how to identify safe drinking water without testing equipment, and how to predict weather changes by watching animal behavior. "Stop the recording," Gray ordered suddenly. "Play back the last 5 minutes." They watched again as Tom explained how to create a safe shelter using only natural materials. He demonstrated how to choose the right location, how to build supporting structures, and how to weatherproof it using leaves and branches. "Do you understand what we're seeing?" Gray asked, his skin turning bright blue with excitement. "These humans aren't just surviving. They're not just adapting. They're mastering their environment without any advanced technology." The afternoon brought another surprise. The documentary team found fresh bear tracks near their camp. Instead of panic, they turned it into another teaching moment. "Notice how they're analyzing the tracks," Red pointed out. "They can tell the bear's size, direction of travel, and how long ago it passed by, all from marks in the dirt." Tom demonstrated how to safely store food to avoid attracting wildlife, how to make noise while walking to avoid surprising animals, and how to read animal behavior to prevent dangerous encounters. "In our worlds," Gray said thoughtfully, "we use force fields and repulsor beams to keep dangerous wildlife away. These humans have learned to coexist with predators using just their knowledge and simple precautions." As evening approached, the documentary team set up their camp. The aliens watched in fascination as the humans created what they called a natural alarm system, using nothing but carefully arranged pebbles and twigs that would make noise if anything large approached. "Their problem-solving abilities are remarkable," White noted. "They don't try to overcome nature with technology. They work with it, understand it, use it." The most striking moment came when a sudden rockslide started on a nearby slope. Before their advanced sensors could even process the danger, Tom had already recognized the warning signs from subtle changes in the ground and wildlife behavior. The documentary team was moving to safety before the first rocks fell. "That's what we've been missing," Gray announced, his skin now a deep purple of revelation. We've been so focused on creating perfect environments that we've lost the ability to read and understand natural ones. These humans, they're not primitives at all. They're masters of their world in a way we've forgotten how to be. As night fell, the observation teams compiled their reports for the Galactic Council. They included detailed notes on human techniques for navigation, shelter building, wildlife management, and natural disaster prediction. Add a special note to the report. Gray instructed, recommend immediate classification of Earth humans as advanced environmental adaptation specialists. Their techniques and knowledge should be studied and preserved. We may have much to learn from these so-called primitives. The documentary team settled around their campfire, unaware that their simple wilderness skills had just earned humanity a special place in galactic classification. Their primitive knowledge had proven more valuable than any advanced technology in the right situation. Maybe, Red mused, watching the humans share stories around the fire. This is why they thrive on what we thought was a death world. They don't try to control their environment. They've learned to truly understand it. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excited conversation. Hundreds of representatives from different species had gathered for an emergency session. The topic, how to classify humans after the recent observations and the successful rescue of the Zenith crew. High Commander Silver stood at the central podium, surrounded by floating screens showing footage from Earth. The documentary team's videos played alongside the observation team's recordings. Fellow council members, Silver announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. We face an unprecedented situation. These humans have forced us to reconsider our entire classification system. The screens showed Tom teaching survival techniques, the storm preparation, and the mountain rescue. Many alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats, watching humans casually handle conditions that would kill most species. The traditional classification would label Earth as a death world and humans as Deathworlders, argued Representative Brown from a garden world. Just look at their planet's conditions. Earthquakes, volcanoes, predators, extreme temperatures. But that's not the whole story, Professor Gray countered, stepping forward. Watch this footage again. The screens displayed humans rock climbing, deep sea diving, and exploring caves. Then it showed them teaching these skills to others, passing on their knowledge. These aren't just survival tactics, Gray explained. This is mastery. Look how they turn hostile environments into training grounds. They don't just endure these conditions, they seek them out to improve their skills. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives argued that any species choosing to live in such conditions must be primitive or insane. Others pointed to the rescue of the Zenith crew as proof of human expertise. Consider this, Captain Red spoke up, sharing his team's observations. In the mountain rescue, human primitive techniques proved faster and more effective than our advanced technology would have been. They navigated treacherous terrain, provided emergency medical care, and saved lives using nothing but basic tools and knowledge. The screens showed more footage, humans predicting weather changes by observing animals, finding safe water using plant indicators, and building shelters from natural materials. Look at their training programs, White added, displaying new images. They have special forces who train in Arctic conditions, desert survival experts, underwater rescue teams. They deliberately practice surviving in the worst conditions imaginable. A representative from a high-technology world scoffed. But they don't even have planetary weather control or gravity adjusters. How can we classify them as advanced? Professor Gray's skin turned bright blue with excitement as he responded. That's exactly the point. They don't need that technology. They've developed something perhaps more valuable. The ability to adapt to any environment with minimal tools. The debate continued for hours. The council reviewed more footage. Humans teaching wilderness survival to children, conducting rescue operations in storms, and adapting to rapidly changing conditions. Finally, High Commander Silver raised his hand for silence. We need to make a decision. The question isn't whether humans are primitive or advanced. The question is, what can they teach us? The chamber grew quiet as Silver continued. While we've been building technology to avoid harsh conditions, humans have been mastering them. Their children learn more about environmental adaptation than many of our scientists. Professor Gray stepped forward again. I propose a new classification. Not Deathworlders. That implies mere survival. These humans are environmental adaptation specialists. Their techniques could revolutionize how we handle emergency situations across the galaxy. The council members watched one final video. The documentary team sitting around their campfire, calmly teaching viewers how to thrive in conditions that would terrify most galactic species. All in favor of the new classification? Silver asked. The chamber filled with raised hands and appendages. The vote was nearly unanimous. Then it's decided, Silver announced. Earth will be reclassified. More importantly, we will establish a committee to study human adaptation techniques. Their knowledge could save countless lives across the galaxy. As the council session ended, the screen showed one last image. Tom teaching his audience how to find their way home using just the stars. The same stars that would soon guide other species to Earth, not to share technology, but to learn the ancient wisdom of surviving in harmony with nature. The debate had ended, but humanity's role in the galaxy was just beginning to take shape. They would become teachers, showing the most advanced species in the universe that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective. 6 months after the Galactic Council's decision, Earth's first official contact with alien life happened in a rather unusual place, a wilderness survival school in the Canadian Rockies. Tom, Mike, and Jack stood in amazement as a sleek spacecraft landed openly in their training grounds. "Welcome to Earth," Tom said calmly, showing none of the shock he felt as Captain Red and Professor Gray stepped out of their ship. "Though I guess we've met before, haven't we?" The aliens looked surprised. "You knew we were watching." Tom laughed. "Let's just say experienced wilderness guides notice when they're being observed, even by invisible watchers." The way the birds stopped singing in certain areas was a bit of a giveaway. The documentary team had been chosen as humanity's first contact point for a reason. Their calm handling of the Zenith rescue and their teaching abilities made them perfect ambassadors for Earth's new role in the galaxy. "We have a proposal," Professor Gray explained. "The Galactic Council wants to establish what they're calling the Earth Survival Academy, a place where species from across the galaxy can learn human adaptation techniques." Mike grinned. "You mean aliens want to learn our primitive survival skills?" "Primitive?" Red's skin flickered with amusement. "Your techniques saved the Zenith crew faster than our most advanced rescue ships could have. That's why we're here." The plan was ambitious. The survival school would expand to include training areas representing Earth's various environments: mountains, deserts, jungles, and oceans. Alien species would send their emergency responders and explorers to learn from human experts. "But first," Gray added, "we need to learn ourselves. Would you be willing to teach a special class?" That's how, 2 weeks later, the documentary team found themselves leading the strangest group of students they'd ever seen. 12 aliens from different species, all eager to learn Earth survival techniques. "Okay," Tom announced to his unusual class, "today we're learning fire-making. Yes, even you. Ambassador Blue, with all 4 of your arms, are going to make fire using just these sticks." The aliens struggled at first. Species used to controlling their environments with technology found it challenging to work directly with nature. But slowly they began to understand. "Look at the moss growth," Jack taught them. "It tells you which way is north. No, don't scan it with your devices. Feel it with your hands. Nature is giving you free navigation tools." The most dramatic moment came during a supervised hiking expedition. A sudden rockslide cut off their planned route. The aliens reached for their emergency beacons, but Tom stopped them. "Watch and learn," he said. The documentary team quickly found a safe alternate path, teaching their students how to read terrain and identify stable ground. They turned a potential emergency into a perfect teaching opportunity. This is why we need your knowledge. Gray admitted that evening around the campfire. Our technology can fail. But these skills, they work anywhere, anytime. As weeks passed, the alien students made remarkable progress. They learned to start fires, build shelters, find safe water, and navigate by natural signs. More importantly, they began to understand the human perspective on survival. It's not about fighting nature, Mike explained to them. It's about understanding it, working with it. The environment isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. The success of this first class led to rapid expansion. Soon, survival schools across Earth were hosting alien students. Humanity's reputation spread throughout the galaxy, not as primitive Deathworlders, but as masters of environmental adaptation. 1 year after first contact, Tom stood on a mountain peak with Chief Researcher Blue, who had returned for advanced training. "I still can't believe it," Blue said, looking over the vast wilderness. "We thought we were so advanced with our technology. But you humans taught us something more valuable, how to survive without it." Tom smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. "That's the thing about survival skills," he said. "They never become obsolete. These mountains were here long before any of us, and they'll be here long after. Learning to live in harmony with them, that's real advancement." As they made their way back to camp, where aliens and humans sat together around a fire, sharing stories and skills, it was clear that both sides had gained something valuable. The aliens had learned to survive in harsh conditions, and humans had found their place in the galactic community, not as primitive Deathworlders, but as respected teachers of one of the universe's most valuable skills, the art of survival.